Hi, this is Julie from the Sewing Palace, and I want to show you these fast little easy table toppers. And you can make them in any size you'd like, whether it's a napkin, a burp rag, a table runner, or even a receiving blanket. The simple difference is you're just going to take your back piece of fabric and you're going to make it 3 to 4 inches larger than the center piece that you're using. If you do that, any combination of this will work, and you can just make anything you'd like. Now I'm going to show you how that happens. So you're going to start with your first 2 pieces of fabric. As I said, one is larger than the other, and this will be your center. You're going to start by finding the centers, and I just kind of crease them like this with my finger, and then I take my Fix-On pen, which is a great tool to be able to mark because it irons off, and mark that center so that I know where the center is when I go to put the pieces together. And I'm going to turn it the opposite way as well and crease it and mark those as well so that I can see those, so that when I'm done everything is marked so that I can line it up the way I need it to. The one additional thing I'm going to do is turn it over so it's on the right side, and I take my little small ruler and I kind of find a 1/4 inch. Now if you have a Bernina machine, you won't need to do this because your 1/4 inch is marked all over with your 1/4 inch, but I'm just measuring in a 1/4 inch and putting a little black dot right there, and I'm going to do that on each corner so it's very easy to find the 1/4. Because we are doing a mitered piece, we're going to need to stop and start at the 1/4 inch. So you've got them all marked, and do that all the way around. Then you're going to take this piece and you're going to fold it in half, the larger piece, and find the center as well on all the sides the same way. And then once you've done that, you're going to take your piece that we've marked and take the center mark that I put on there, and we're going to line it up with the center mark of this, just like that, very easily. And you're going to have excess on both sides, and you should. I just got that off a little bit there, sorry. And you're going to take your pins, and you're just going to put a couple of pins in. So I kind of put one at the center and one at each end. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side, so that it will look kind of like this. Both sides will be pinned. You'll line it up, pin it, again finding your centers which are marked, pin along there, take it to the sewing machine, and then with your 1/4 inch seam allowance on your machine, you're going to sew from the dot that we marked. Remember those dots we marked in the corner? Or a 1/4 inch from the inset. We're going to start sewing there. You're going to sew along the edge till you get down to the other end and stop at a 1/4 from the edge. Very important when you're mitering to stop a 1/4 inch away. So once that piece is sewn, magically sewn, don't you love that? So you can see that I've sewn across both edges, and it kind of folds in a little funny, but I want you to see that it's both. And again, remember we marked the centers here, so you're going to pull this. It's going to seem a little awkward at first, but you're going to just pull this up into the centers that were marked previously. Go ahead and pin it, and even though it's a little awkward, you're just going to lay it out flat. I'm going to try to make this so you can see it very well, but you're going to lay it out flat. Just don't pull it, just lay it out so it lays out by itself, starting at the corner and sewing. So we'll pin it there, and then we're going to sew down to the other end. And yes, you're going to have that funny little point, so we're going to just give it a little pull and let it sew all the way across there. So you've got it laying like that. It's a little awkward at first, but once you get it laying there, it just lays really nicely. You're going to sew, you're going to do the same piece. You're going to pin this one again and do the same exact thing, and you're going to sew along this edge. Now on this one of these sides, what you need to do is be sure to start in, sew about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, stop, leave a 3 inch opening, and continue sewing to the end of this, and stopping at your corners always, so you get that nice miter. And we do that so that you'll be able to open up your project when you're done. So here's our piece. We've sewn all the way around now, and our opening that we've left a little ways from the corner there. Now we have to deal with these funny little tails that we have coming off the sides. So what you're going to do is I kind of like to take this sewn seam and this sewn seam, and I fold them together so they fold nicely together like that. It gets all the fabric out of the way and it lays very nicely flat, and then I'm going to take and put a pin there so it holds it. Now usually when you have to make a miter, you have to think about which angle that 45-degree goes at. Don't worry about it because it's way easier than that. All I have to do is take my little ruler and put it along this edge, because guess what? This is already a 45-degree, and I'm going to slide my ruler up to there, and what I'm looking for is the beginning of my stitching where I stopped and started right here, and I'm going to put my line on here and draw across, and I'm going to do that on each side. So I'm going to fold it once again just so you can see that twice. So again, fold it so it lays nice and neatly there. Go ahead and give it a nice pin so it doesn't wiggle around. Take your ruler, find that nice little straight edge here and your starting and stop point, which is right here. Slide it up there and draw your seam allowance right on there, and then you're ready to go sew. When you do all 4 of those, you're going to take it to your sewing machine and you're going to sew your corners. So they're going to look like, they're going to look sewn like this, and you're going to take your pins out, and you'll have this piece, and you're going to, once it's perfect.
Julie, are you sewing right on the line that you marked?
I am sewing right on the line. Thank you, Jenny. Yes, I am. So you're going to take and clip at this at 1/4 of an inch. Just leave yourself 1/4 of an inch on all of your sewn pieces so that they're trimmed out and you don't have the bulk in there. And then you're going to take your piece and you're going to start, you find your little birthing hole that we call that, and you're going to start to turn this whole thing by putting your finger in there, bringing it out, and you're starting to turn and turn and turn, and magically it gets turned and pressed, and you just come out with a perfect little piece here. The nice part is if your miter isn't perfect, it doesn't matter because they still come out. It's kind of one of those no fuss things that it comes out even though you don't think it will. Now here's my opening right here, and I can do one of 2 things. I can take something called Unique Stitch, which is a really nice little glue that doesn't wash out. It's got a very fine point, and I can turn this edge. Let me show you what I can do here. I can just turn this edge up a little bit, put a little line of glue across here, and press it down, and it's going to stay nicely in place for me, and I can wash it and do all those things and not have to do another stitch on the piece. Or I have a wonderful foot that Bernina makes. It's called a number 10 foot. It's an edge stitch foot. Has a nice little guide that goes through here. I can take my machine and move my needle over a click to the left or right, whichever way I want, and do a top stitch all the way around. Or you can use a decorative stitch and it will line it up centered right exactly on that line. So it's a nice little foot to be able to use. So there you go, your fast and easy table toppers. And this is Julie at the Sewing Palace. Have fun and make a million.